But we're going to talk in section 3 about the Panopticon. And panoptic means all-seeing, right? But this is a force. This is a manipulation. And what's interesting about the Panopticon is it's because the all-seeing eye, it's the illusion that if God is watching, then you self-restrict. God doesn't have to force your hand. But because you know God is watching you, you volitionally choose to obey. He doesn't have to move your hand. And that's the idea of the Panopticon. When you know or you believe that the government is watching everything you do, the government doesn't have to say do X or do Y. You just self-regulate, self-censor because you believe they see everything. So it's a beautiful illusion, even if it's true or not. So it might be true. They might be seeing everything like that, but you hear it all the time. They're watching you through your phone. They're watching you through TV. They're watching you through your Wi-Fi. They're watching you through your mother's eyeballs. Whatever it is, the illusion of the Panopticon is the government sees everything.
Yeah, but that's a double-edged sword because knowing all the time that they're watching and knowing everything, our thoughts and everything, we kind of get used to it. Eventually nobody cares anymore, so that fear goes away. So then maybe that's when they have to turn up the knob a little bit. Like
Right. So what they do is they set up the false flags. Remember, false flags is the government attacking itself. And so what they'll do is, perfect idea like with ICE, you don't know which one are paid actors or not. But all they have to do is set up a false flag operation. They can set up a bunch of protests. They can know that there's a protest going to be there. They can put paid actors at the protest to make the protest more hyperbolic. Like, these ICE agents, you see what they do. We need to get out there and start shooting them. Or what? That's a paid actor. And that causes the justification for the ICE agents to now militarize and get active. And this false flag act causes this really scary thing. Something bad happens. Somebody gets shot. Somebody gets killed. And now, now you're afraid. So now you go back to self-censorship. So that's all they got to do. And then you realize, all right, so they're watching everything. They know everything. They see everything. But that's the construct of the Panopticon, which we'll see here in this illustration. So you guys know mass surveillance, ALPS, the automated license plate readers, facial recognition, all of it. This is what they tell you. Like, how many of us actually know if any of that's real? We don't. But we're being told, did you know ICE has face recognition? They're using their phones. They're taking a picture. There's databases. There's Palantir. There's all this stuff, right? But how many of us actually know if those things are real or not? But it's propagated all day, even by influencers. Everybody's saying, oh, did you know that ICE has this thing? And did you know they have this and this? They're watching you everywhere. The idea is the government wants you to think they see everything. But these prisons aren't made that you see these people in. They're not made by the government. You are creating your own prison. It's a programmed prison. You're self-policing yourself because you think the government's watching you. The government doesn't have to put you in prison. It's just the idea that the government's watching you. It's one of the most easiest tactics because the government is like the father.
Well, it's what puts fear in people's hearts because people like Chris Hansen, they get got for tax evasion. There's another guy, a religious guy, Ken Ham, who I just found out he's like this, this big creationist guy going against the government. He got caught for tax evasion. Apparently, he spent 9 years in federal prison, and it was all for nothing. He actually was paying his taxes the entire time, but that's actually what they said was that he didn't pay taxes. So he got a lawyer. Eventually, he got out, but he was actually going to spend a lot more time in there. It was all on bogus charges, and he actually has the proof. He has the receipts, but the government didn't care. They said, yeah, put him away. So the government, and it may be him and people like Chris Hansen. Again, this guy's a religious guy. He's like this teacher of this stuff. He's not doing anything like that. You can tell he's one of those. He looks kind of like Chris Hansen. They could be brothers. I don't know. But two completely different people. They don't know each other, but they both went away for the same thing. And we can list many other names of different political groups and affiliations and all kinds of other people who went away for tax evasion or And the government found a laptop that belonged to them, and they don't have to show us the laptop or anything. They just found a laptop, and it had 8 terabytes of illegal material on it. That's all they have to do. And it doesn't matter if it's true or not. There's no evidence, but the judges are going to say, "Yeah, well, put them in the who cares? Like, it doesn't matter." Anyway, it is interesting. I just saw a post recently about another store taking pictures of people, and they were getting upset because you can't even enter until it takes a picture of your face first. I can't remember which store it was. It's one that we've all been to, but they're just propagating this idea. And maybe you're right. Maybe they don't have anything, or maybe they do, but the idea is to tell us that they do, regardless.
And that's all it takes. Once you buy into the idea that you don't have an option, I always use the word capitulate. It just means to fall into, or you can, comply, revert. And that's what happens. There's no, I want to say there's no option. There is always an option. The government is so good at this that even though, like we see it, that's why we're talking to you about it, right? But the idea is that I want to say there's no option. But the government is so good at this that they're like, no, host, you're wrong. We never took away your freedom. You had the freedom. You had options. And then, of course, we want to rebuttal with all these barriers and restrictions. And you're like, hey, you had a choice. We didn't take it away. And so, everybody knows about the January 6th episode that happened where those people tried to take over the Capitol Hill. But one thing that doesn't get talked about a lot, and I've heard other people talk about it, but something to remind ourselves about this. The FBI was given data from Google of all the people who were there. Over 5,000 phones and their data points and all the people who owned those phones was given to the government, to the FBI. And so in this article, it says Google provided investigators with location data for more than 5,000 devices as a part of a federal investigation into the attacks of the U.S. Capitol. You know what's interesting about this boogeyman is, it's always used to propagate how these people are pro-Trumpers and these were the bad guys. And so the government said, we need to investigate this and get this data on them, right? But it's the same government today, the Trump administration, that's doing the same thing, except now they're using ICE to get all the data of the same people. So that's why I want people to recognize it's the same devil. It's just a different shovel.
So the one administration uses the FBI, and the other administration uses ICE, the ICE.
Right. Well, no, they just use FBI too. Look at what happened with Mondero. What did Marco Rubio said? This was an arrest. The FBI went over there to arrest, not invade. We're not invading a country. Remember last week, they're very careful with their words. We're not invading. We're arresting Mondero for drug charges.
This is not an invasion. We didn't occupy a country. This was an arrest operation. This is a law enforcement operation. He was arrested on the ground in Venezuela by FBI agents.
They'll use anything. They don't care.
Yeah, I guess some people have all the luck.
If they want to use ICE, they want to use FBI. See.
So this new administration is more powerful.
Everything's a stepping stone. Like, you set precedents, and then you use that as, well, if they didn't care about this, let's take it up a notch. And let's take it up a notch. Look at Trump with his hyperbolicism. He's over there. He as stupid as Trump is, he's also very smart in it business-wise. So what does he do? It's a simple tactic. Let's make a radical offer so that it will force people to find a middle ground. I'm going to take Greenland by force. I'm going to send military over there. We will take it. That causes everybody to panic and say, oh, you can't do that. No. And eventually that's going to cause people to not say no. There you're going to find a middle ground and say, well, Trump says, all right, how about you just allow us to take 50% of Greenland for military bases? And everybody's like, okay, yeah, we can agree to that. So this is a beautiful tactic.
Mm-hmm.
And so
that's what the left did with a lot of things too.
Right.
They push it so far that, now we can meet somewhere in the middle, but that's so far away from where we would have initially met.
Yeah, and that's why people have to realize these things that you hear are playing on your emotions on purpose.
Well, some people are coming out. I've seen some videos, a lot of videos now of younger audience people, younger generation people, literally just not caring. They go out in public and they're like, yeah, look, just a reminder, guys, nobody actually cares. Nobody's, you people may be watching it, but they don't actually care. They're still going to go out about their day. They don't actually care what you're wearing. They don't care what you're doing. So one kid actually laid on the mall floor. And he's like, yeah, people are going to look and say it's dumb or whatever, but that's it. They're going to keep going on with their day. And this one guy in particular I thought was interesting. I was like, man, he really proves that even if the government's watching, so this is what the government, this is probably by design too. The government has been telling the younger generation all day, every day, we're watching. So now they're just giving up. Those younger generations just giving up and saying, who cares? So you're watching, who cares?
Wow, that's milk. Wow, I thought that was water. Wow, that's next level. I don't care. She don't care either.
Yeah,
it's
no,
like,
she's just getting gas. There's some guy.
Yeah, but that's again, once one extreme happens, remember, the government wastes no opportunity. Mm-hmm. Once one radical extreme happens, they use that as justification to recorrect. So yeah, people will start doing I don't care stuff, but I don't care also leads to, if you keep going to I don't care, it leads to really bad decisions.
Well, one step further is if that lady would have said something, she would have been the Karen, and she would have been painted as, this is how we ridicule and punish people who do care. The people that do care, don't worry. We're going to ridicule and make fun of. Those are the Karens. Or I guess the Gen Zs are calling them Jessicas now. That's people using the word Karen or millennials. So Gen Zs can know us by our fruit. We date ourselves by saying the word Karen, I guess. Anyway, so for Gen Zs out there watching us and Gen Alphas, the Jessicas out there are the people who care. They're actually the people who look at you and actually care. But they're far and few, and they're a dying breed. In fact, most millennials are Jessicas, I guess, is what they think.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, go back to this diagram. You can not care only for so long, but that not care is actually a prison, because your not caring leads to crazier things. You can only pour milk so much before everybody says that's stupid. I don't care. I don't care about that either. See, I don't care leads to I don't care, which means, we talked about it before. You can only do so many things before you have to ante it up. Like we talked about that Dare website where, but eventually it's like nobody cares about that. Now you need to take it to the next level. And eventually you got to do something crazy, which then gives justification to the government, says, oh, we got to correct that. And then once you see punishment, and it could be a false flag, a punishment occurred, now you go back to self-imprisonment. I have to care, because if I don't care, I'm going to end up like this guy. And they're always going to put up this patsy to say, see, you comply or you die. And so go ahead.
Well, I was going to say some people found some kind of middle ground or loophole in between the lines. They're gliding through lines. They don't care if people are watching. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about their health or nothing. This one guy, it's been apparently going pretty viral, doesn't seem to care about Nathan.
Feel me?
I feel you.
Feel me?
I can't.
We got Shake Shack, man.
He almost had a heart attack.
Feel me? Feel me? Got the chicken sandwich, man. Feel me? God bless. Thank you for the beautiful, love, and delicious.
Who's gasmic?
It's dying.
But he saved him.
It hurts to watch. It's like, don't take another bite.
Feel me? Feel me?
Oh,
Feel me?
bless.
Got the hot cakes, man. Feel me? God bless. Thank you for this beautiful loving. That's how.
It's scrumptious.
Feel me?
You need some Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah, something, whatever's going on. I'm not one to say. But remember, to finish up with the Panopticon, going to the next section, the gatekeepers. But before I do, think about the people that are protesting. You know, the number one thing that they think about with the Panopticon is,
You feel me?
there's a list, and I don't want to be on it. And then what did all the social media show you? ICE is out there, got video. ICE is out there taking pictures of your face. ICE is going to put you on a list. And they say, I don't care if you're an American citizen or not, you better have your papers because we're taking you in.
And we saw from that one lady, ICE might actually put you on ice.
Yeah, right. You will. And she was an American citizen.
Yeah, God bless.
And you know, she was a white person. So it didn't matter. Like you're showing those people, like if you're on this color spectrum, you just grab them. She was ice white.
You feel me?
And she got put on ice. And so the point is what restricts protests? There's a couple things we talked about in another episode, you know, the whole idea of program restriction. If you want to have an organized protest, you got to file permits and you got to get this. So they put all these barriers just to protest too. You think you got freedom of speech, but that's limited. So
Until you get taken to the cleaners.
right. And then you get put on a list.
And then they send you home in a box.
And then once you get on this list, what happens? Anything. Oh, my credit score went down. My banking access gets... So they use multiple layers of these things. So they use the Panopticon. If you try to resist it, the next thing they hit you with is financial weaponization.
I was going to say the next thing they hit you with is some shells. Like some people are, the cops are known to throw shells at your front gate.
Well, yeah, they will. But those, like I said, they don't have to do this on a large scale. Because if they did this on a large scale, you already know that's civil war. You can't do this everywhere. They just need false flags. Because like we talked about with the choice architecture in the very beginning, that pain is engineered. But yeah, so you're out there and you think you want to protest. You think you want to get involved. But then all of a sudden you see all this stuff on your social media feed. Hey, remember, ICE is out there taking pictures. You're going to be on a list. And then you hear about these, well, you know, of course, they're 1 in a million, but they make it sound like it's happening to everybody. People's bank loans are getting denied. Their credit scores are going down. Their accounts are getting frozen. Their access to Google or their iPhones are getting restricted because they're put on a list. They might be domestic terrorists. I mean, what happened to toilet time?
They were domestic terrorists.
Well, that's what
terrorists. Well, I think what happened was the DOJ found their laptop or something.
Well, this is what happens when you try to fight against it. Like those guys were trying to tell people about the Panopticon, and then they would fight against it. Said, we know they're watching, but who cares? And so they have to put up a patsy and say, comply or die like these people.
Yeah, but those guys at Toilet Time, though, they didn't use protection. A bunch of idiots. Like they just... Nothing. They just went in raw. It's like, we're just going to come at the government to expose everything. And you feel me? And they did. And yeah, the government was like, yeah, God bless.
That's the idea, though. And so this is what causes people to fear. And so you self-censor. You're like, I don't want to be like those guys. They put a lot of work in, and look what happened to their stuff.
They'd be turning girls down at the Volume Boy.
Right. So what happens is that you self-censor. You self-discipline. You self-imprisonate. And you end up being in a programmed prison.